So
Mhm.
some people can trust their intuition, and I would say others, they need to look at somebody who looks like they got their shit together, and then they can trust their
that
intuition. Trust them.
you should be unsettled by. And I think because we're not trained to trust our own intuition, I think that's why people can use that intuition against us and drive us into fear and all other kinds of, you know, attitudes.
And how I would, brother, was you done?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt, but what I would add to that and respond to that is that I don't think everybody can trust their intuition. I really don't. I really don't. I think if you don't eat right, I think if you're plugged into the wrong media, if you're constantly absorbing Eurocentric media,
Mhm.
toxic media, if you're not governing your thoughts, and if you're not oriented towards something righteous and positive and constructive, uh, then your intuition is gonna
Right.
be a function of where your brain is at and your spirit is at most of the time. So
Mhm.
some people can trust their intuition, and I would say others, they need to look at somebody who looks like they got their shit together, and then they can trust their intuition. Trust somebody, trust your elders' intuition. Trust your great auntie who know how to cook and raise vegetables, and who's 95, and you trust her intuition. But somebody who consumes toxic media all day long in an unthinking way and listens to commercials and is working just so they can buy a new pair of Balenciagas, I don't know if they can necessarily trust their intuition. And number two, you know, we don't necessarily need to have our kids in a PWI for them to learn certain skills, but ain't nobody building the Golden Gate Bridge again without formal education. There's no book you can read, no source inside yourself where you can pull that out. You're going to need to know a lot more about metallurgy, about physics, about there's so many like higher level mathematics. Like our ancestors, the pyramid builders,
Right.
they could probably do it. And if they had an institution of learning for us by which to they could bestow their knowledge, then by all means we'd have to go and get it. But you know, we there's you ain't learning neurosurgery outside of a formal education environment in somebody's institution. Now, should it be controlled and ran by us, not just black faces like Ben Carson, but black people who love black people, who feel an affinity for black
Yeah,
people, who are race people?
yeah.
Yes, that's the institution I want to recommend my kids go to. Um, but yes, we did build bridges without formal education, but we didn't build the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well, I think also we have to understand because a lot of times we idealize our ancestors like they didn't have this, they didn't have this, they didn't do this. But the thing is that they were still mathematicians, they were still scientists. They didn't have the formal education that we consider formal education, but they were still educated in a sense of
It
um
was an educational process.
right, it was an
Yeah.
educational process, right? So in order to build that, that's why we're not able to do it now because that education process, just like when we talk about Imhotep, they said he was the smartest, like he was a genius.
He was a multi-genius.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, we have to get from what we consider education, but then understand. That's why I asked the question, what is true education? Because we don't necessarily know what true education. And then Hannibal touched on a great point about intuition. So I know the person who asked that, they were talking about with children because children tend to be um they tend to not have be consumed with so much toxicity. But you have to understand that toxicity starts in the womb.